And with that, welcome to Drunk Part 3a. Today's part is about BokuAka and KuroKen again, though with a tiny little hint for BokuAka KuroKen, so yeah, yay! It's gonna be fluff for the most part, as all of this series was. A little bit of comedy sprinkled in there, and I hope you like it. Enjoy! Have you ever had struggles finding good Haikyuu merch or anime merch in general? Because I for sure did. It can be hard. But this shop offers amazing merch. Like, I'm literally obsessed with the Haikyuu merch. They have the cutest hoodies ever. Now, if you want to get 10% off, click the link in the description. They offer me a collaboration, which is literally amazing. And you support my channel this way. So, win-win. Let's go. Kenma regretted everything. The moment he regained consciousness, waking up from a restless sleep that he suddenly wanted back so badly. There was a steady throbbing in his head and a sharp pain that would strike through it like lightning whenever something louder than the drop of a needle would reach his ears. He groaned and tried to open his eyes slowly. Big mistake. The light stung and the room swayed before his eyes, and he felt suddenly very, very nauseous. Faster than he would have expected in his current state, he got up to his feet and sprinted toward the bathroom, almost running over Bokuto on the way. He made it to the toilet just in time as the first rush of vomit left his mouth. It burned. The sour acid stung in his throat, and the scent made him even more nauseous. He hardly registered the quiet steps entering the room after him when suddenly a pair of hands found their way into his hair and held it back. Gentle fingers caressed his back in soothing patterns and held him upright as he threatened to tip over. When it was finally over, he leaned back against what he assumed to be Kuro's chest, only to find Bokuto. His eyes widened a little and he attempted to give him space, but the ace stopped him and gently guided him to sit down on the edge of the bathtub. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's okay. He flushed the toilet and gave Kenma a towel and a glass of water to clear his mouth from the taste. The other accepted, but didn't dare look him in the eyes as he nervously fidgeted with a piece of fabric. Hey, Kenma, it's really no big deal. I care for Akashi when he's sick or hungover as well, so it's okay. I know what I'm doing. He smiled at him brightly. It was only then that Kenma looked at him, really looked at him since he woke up. His hair wasn't styled in his usual fashion and hung loosely down, a few strands falling into his face. He looked good, and without really thinking about it, Kenma reached out to touch his hair. Bokuto laughed at his perplexion, and Kenma's face blushed bright red as he quickly pulled his hand away. He must still be intoxicated. It took him way longer to notice things, like, for example, that Bokuto's usually booming laugh and voice were much quieter than usual. He tried tuning it down because of him, because he knew he was hungover. Bokuto looked at him puzzled before smiling sheepishly. Sorry, was that too loud? He shook his head and Bokuto's expression softened. He held him up and followed him downstairs, always on the lookout for any sign Kenma might lose his balance or feel sick again. It was weird being cared for like this by someone other than Kuro, yet he had to admit he liked it. Bokuto's care felt different, new. His gentle compassion sparked an unfamiliar warmth with every gentle touch or vigilant gaze. It was comfortable. Naturally, Kenma let himself fall back until he walked side by side with Bokuto, enjoying the warmth radiating from him. In the kitchen, Akashi sat already hunched over at the small table, head almost touching the wood. Kuro made breakfast and seemed to try really hard not to make fun of them, but ultimately failed. Good morning, kitten. So, I was partying. Oh god. Shut up, Kuro. He tried glaring at him, but unfair as he was, Kuro placed a cup of his favorite tea in front of him together with some medicine. Kema's eyes reflected unmistakably how grateful he was, and he hated Kuro for knowing exactly what he had to do to get back on Kema's good side. Not even his chuckle as he observed Kema's quickly changing expression or the hastily placed kiss on his temple could ruin this, as the fine and soothing aroma of chamomile filled the air. A familiar warmth sank through his system as he nipped at the cup. He let out a content sigh and joined Keiji in his attempt to use the table as a pillow. Speaking of which, the other smiled at him weakly, a silent "sorry" on the lips, before his attention was captured by Bokuto, who tenderly brushed the short hair out of his face and studied it for any sign of discomfort. The ace then smiled and placed a series of affectionate kisses on his face, making the ravenet giggle slightly as he half-heartedly tried to get away. Stop, Bo. It tickles. Yes, Bokuto. Stop torturing the poor Keiji and sit down. Breakfast is finished. A small hint of pink dusted Akashi's cheeks as Kuro addressed him by his given name, but he didn't say anything. Kuro placed rice, a plate with fried eggs, miso soup and ohitashi in front of them on the table, while Bokuto helped him fill a bowl of rice for each of them. It looked delicious. Kema loved Kuro's cooking, yet today he wasn't quite sure if the scent helped with the nausea or made it worse. A little hesitant, he reached for the food. Kuro smiled sympathetically and pushed the bowl of rice a little closer to him. Here, believe me, it'll help if you eat something, and rice is easy on the stomach. The smaller nodded as he took the chopsticks and slowly lifted them to his mouth. It tasted good, and soon the hunger that had been drowned out by the nausea before set in. But for real now, how was partying yesterday? Kenma groaned and sunk deep into his chair, hiding behind the bowl of rice while eating. Kuro laughed as he looked at him in adoration. It was good. Escalated a bit, but still good. Oh, we noticed. Akashi looked at him sheepishly. That bad? Kuro laughed again, putting the chopsticks aside for a second to recall the events. Where do I even start? Well, when we came to pick you up, which, by the way, wasn't all that easy since you refused to go anywhere with anyone but Bo, Kema lay on the table, deeply immersed in a staring contest with Tendu. Akashi's eyes widened a little in surprise as he heard that he had been the difficult one. But Bokuto was with you. Yeah, yet you didn't exactly recognize me for half of it. The ace tried to feign nonchalance, but the pout was evident in his voice. Akashi looked at him a little clueless, an apology already on his lips as he observed his boyfriend. Yeah, I think you broke his heart about equally as many times as you fixed it. It was truly astonishing how you could compliment him non-stop while refusing to recognize him at the same time. Slowly but surely, Akashi's face took the shape of a deep crimson red, competing with the tomatoes in front of him. I'm so sorry, Bokuto. Before the ace could say anything, Kuro continued. Nah, you made up for it later by calling him your husband. Though I'm quite hurt, actually. Why was I not invited to the wedding? Now both of them were blushing, and Akashi, just like Kema, tried to hide behind his food. Maybe exactly because you do things like this and would retell all our embarrassing stories. He huffed, referring back to last night. And you'd love me for it, admit it. He nudged him in the side slightly before playfully placing an arm around the other. BokuAka laughed and for a moment leaned into his touch before focusing on the food again. Kema and Akashi exchanged a few volatile glances as they observed the chaos unfold. The ravenet smiled at him reassuringly. This was nice. Not taking the headache into account, this was nice. I think I'm gonna rest a bit more. I still don't feel so good. BokuAka knitted his brows together as he observed him more closely. Do you still feel nauseous? Do you need to throw up again? Kota's head perked up and he looked at him in concern. You had to throw up? Hot embarrassment rushed through his veins and Kema avoided looking at them directly. Just once this morning. It was nothing. He fumbled nervously with the hem of his sleeves, desperately wishing he could cut this short. Yet the worry in Kota's eyes didn't fade and he was about to say more when Akashi stepped up. I'll come with you. I'm still tired as well, but if anything's up, you can tell me. I'm a little bit more used to this, so it doesn't affect me as badly. The blonde nodded before leaving. He did his best to quickly escape Kota's examining gaze before the other could switch into his sometimes a little overbearing caring mode. Much like yesterday, Kema just let himself fall onto the bed and waited for Akashi, who, this time, stood hesitantly in the doorframe. Kema made an inviting gesture and frowned when Akashi didn't follow. He really didn't want to have to speak much more. A quiet groan slipped past his lips as he rolled himself onto his back, staring at the ceiling. Are you coming? Is that okay? Kema raised an eyebrow. I wouldn't have asked otherwise. Besides, we slept together last night too. I remember that much, don't you? Yeah, but we were drunk. So? He looked at him, a worried crease appearing between his brows. Do you mind? Akashi seemed to think about it for a second before shaking his head, cheeks still dusted in a slight shade of pink. He entered the room slowly and closed the distance. He climbed into bed beside Kema, who didn't hesitate for even a second before claiming him as his pillow and personal healer. Akashi felt a surge of pride rush through him at the trust the other displayed, and carefully lifted the blanket over both of them. He tried in vain to calm his fast-beating heart that currently tried its very best to escape his chest. Akashi gulped. He couldn't quite grasp and categorize this, and it made him nervous. All he knew was that Kema snuggling up to him felt like an incredible honor, and that he would do close to anything to protect the smaller from any harm coming his way. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you liked this. It was very fun making this, and obviously this is not the end to the series, but I think this might be one of my favorite parts, because I love BokuAka, and I love KuroKen. I love BokuAka KuroKen, and I don't know, I'm not good at writing fluff in general, but fluff for them just feels right, and I love this. Anyway, there is at least one more part coming. Tell me in the comments if you also want a second part, a third part for Ushijima and Matsun, because I'm not sure if I should make one yet. And now I hope you have a wonderful and amazing day.